Hey everyone. So this is how you're going to go about things now, huh, CBC? Headline out of CBC News: Politics. Fact check. Maxime Bernier's false claim about Canada's subsidized immigrants. It's being reported by Jonathan Gatehouse, July 26, 2019. So CBC News now has all of a sudden decided they're going to do some fact checking, are they? Really fact checking, are you? In regards to politics? You're going to fact check political positioning? Really? That's how we know that you're playing politics. Well, I mean, the fact that this article's under the political section, or the politics section, I mean, that already speaks volumes. And as much as a lot of the Canadian population don't understand that when it's under the politics section, lies can be espoused, misinformation, disinformation, or political rhetoric. It's all fair game in the name of politics. Keep that in mind. As part of our federal election coverage, CBC News is assessing the truthfulness and accuracy of statements made by politicians and their parties. The claim, Canadians are a compassionate people and we should be, but at what cost? Are Canadians happy to subsidize 74% of our current immigrants? Maxime Bernier, leader of the People's Party of Canada, outlined his position on immigration and multiculturalism during a speech in Mississauga, Ontario, Wednesday night. The facts. Bernier's hour-long speech centered on his pledge to cut immigration levels by more than half, to somewhere between 100,000 and 150,000 people per year, depending on economic and other circumstances, and the various reasons why he believes such a reduction is necessary. He cited perceived threats to Canada's identity and common culture, but the heart of his argument was made up of claims that immigrants bring more costs than benefits to this country. Bernier said immigrants generally earn less than Canadian-born workers and pay a lower amount of tax, but consume almost as much in government services as everyone else. And as a proof, he referred to a 2011 study from the Fraser Institute, co-authored by economist and former Reform Party MP Herb Grubel, that put the net cost to the country at $6,051 per immigrant, estimating an annual burden of $16 billion to $24 billion. So the Fraser Institute is an independent think tank organization, not part and parcel of the ruling class, such as those who represent the CBC. Keep that in mind, folks. The People's Party founder went on to crunch some numbers of his own, noting that 55% of immigrants to Canada are economic class admissions. 159,262 people in 2017, according to the latest government figures, but that almost half of that category were spouses and dependents. Per Bernier, that means only 26% of all people who come to Canada every year actually fulfill our economic needs, and that the remainder are dependents who may not master any of our official languages or are too young or too old to work. Sounds based on sound facts and figures as far as I'm concerned, right? Bernier's suggestion that 74% of immigrants are somehow getting a subsidized ride is patently false and appears to rely on cherry-picking numbers and some decidedly old-school assumption. Are you suggesting that Canadians don't subsidize immigrants? Are you saying that the government, which, once again, takes from the taxpayer, which is the people, which is a representation of the people, to pay for all these immigration initiatives? Are you really saying that the Canadians don't subsidize this? Is that your position? No wonder you fail as an organization. And no wonder why your numbers are down as far as viewership and ratings. And if you continue misrepresenting the facts or the reality that is Canada at a level that you're doing today, you better hope and pray that the PPC never does come to power, because your job is on the line and so is your funding. Which is no doubt why you constantly use political rhetoric and your media mouthpieces to try to paint people like Maxime Bernier or his party, the PPC, in such a negative light. That's just one more area where you're going to see you'll fail eventually. Because in the age of information, ignorance is a choice, and more Canadians are choosing not to be ignorant for any longer. Let's start with the Fraser Institute study, which itself was based on 2006 census data and a sample of tax filing information for immigrants between 1987 and 2004. As the authors note, there is no statistical information available to allow direct accounting for how immigrants or any other demographic group benefit from social programs and other, even broader categories of government spending. So what they did was make assumptions based on the fragmentary evidence that did exist at the time. So there was evidence. So even though the CBC contributors try to push back against this phrase, even contained within this pushback is to suggest that, well, you're not doing a very good job because you're saying that actually there was fragmentary evidence. So there was some basis for the formation of their opinion or what they derived from the evidence presented to them. So nothing that Maxime has said so far or that Fraser Institute report is being debunked. Immigrants, they suggest, consume more than their fair share of education, housing, and employment spending, and less of the money devoted to the protection of people and property. And for everything else, recreation and culture, regional planning, industrial development, foreign affairs, etc., they conclude that everyone derives an equal benefit. A rather imprecise way to arrive at such an exact dollar figure. Even that is a misrepresentation of the study or what was reported. Bernier's 26% claim also seems awfully shaky, starting with his implicit suggestion that all of those economic class families consist of a single breadwinner, or that none of their dependents intend to get a job. Bernier never said any of this. Once again, you're not debunking anything. You're just offering your political perspective or your opinion. And I guess you expect that the ill-informed Canadians or those who are on the left side of the political spectrum, I guess that's what you're doing. You're throwing red meat to people that align with you politically. But you're doing absolutely nothing to convince your political counterparts or your opponents that they're wrong in any way. In 2017, Canada also admitted 82,740 people under the family reunification category, each of whom was sponsored by a current citizen or landed immigrant who committed to providing for their needs for between 3 and 20 years. You want to analyze or fact check that? Because do you really believe that all these people are going to get a job, or maybe some of them? Once again, no matter which way you come about this, you're not going to be able to make your story stick any more than your political opponents or counterparts, because, we don't know how the future is going to unfold. Is there any way to guarantee, assure that those commitments are going to be held up to? Or guaranteed? No, of course not. The remaining 44,747 people who became landed immigrants that year were refugees or had been granted asylum on humanitarian or compassionate grounds, and nothing prevents them from seeking work. Last winter, Statistics Canada published a detailed report on labor trends among immigrants that found immigrants were responsible for 2/3 of all national employment gains in 2016 and 2017. And the gap between immigrants and native-born Canadians is narrowing. So what you're saying, even when they put forth a rhetoric such as this, to the Canadian people, I'll just let you know, for you out-of-touch elitists who are contributors to the CBC, this is still bad news for the Canadian people. You might think that's good because, once again, you're so out of touch. But as far as the Canadian people are concerned, if you're suggesting that the immigrants are making out much better economically than the old stock or the Canadians that already live and reside here, once again, you're not making your case very well. Matter of fact, you're solidifying Maxime Bernier's own case for a reduction in immigration. The unemployment rate for core-aged immigrants, the 25 to 54-year-olds who make up the bulk of Canada's workforce, dipped to 6.4% in 2017, the lowest rate in 12 years. The jobless rate for those who had been in the country for less than 5 years was higher, 9.6%. But that difference fades over time, and those who arrived more than a decade ago have basically the same unemployment rate as Canadian-born workers, 5.6% compared to 5%. And in some cases, immigrants are doing better. The unemployment rate for immigrant men who have been in the country for between 5 and 10 years was 4.8%, lower than the Canadian-born male average of 5.6%. And immigrants from the Philippines, the second biggest source country in 2017, had an overall unemployment rate of 3.6%, 1.4% below the Canadian-born rate. So once again, you're making a case for Maxime Bernier and the People's Party of Canada and suggesting that, by Canadians being forced to subsidize and prop up their competitors out there for jobs on that job landscape, on the economic or employment landscape, you're saying that they're doing better by sheer fact that the Canadians have subsidized them to a substantial degree through federal or provincial initiatives, through that forced income and wealth redistribution model that you all love so much. You're saying that they're actually making it like bananas. These immigrants are actually doing better than Canadians, old stock Canadians. So do you think that's appealing to the Canadian people? Say, oh yeah, we definitely want more and more immigrants. Once again, you're not making your case. Is this reverse psychology? Are these hacks of the CBC actually trying to undermine their own messaging? Sometimes I wonder that. Like I say, folks, I don't know. But the way this article is being represented and presented to us, they're not making a case for Canadians being more accepting of this mass immigration push in this country. They're actually doing the exact opposite. Anyways, folks, there's lots contained within this, and I'll definitely place a link to this article in the description of the video below. Once again, you're just talking about the contributors to the CBC. This particular contributor is trying to make the case that no, we got to stick to the current establishment and the status quo. Once again, just based on my own personal subjective perspective in regards to this, I don't think they're doing a very good job as far as making their case or presenting their case. I think they're failing miserable, but hey, they work for the CBC. I don't exactly have high expectations to begin with. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.